It was past midnight when Daniel checked into a small roadside inn. The place was old but quiet, too quiet. Outside the wind howled and rain lashed against the windows. Inside, dust motes danced in the faint light that filtered through the blinds. The silence was thick, heavy, oppressive. Daniel sank into the worn armchair by the desk, his eyes scanning the room. There was a bed in the corner, a full-length mirror on the wall opposite him, and hanging above the fireplace was an oil painting of a stern-faced woman in a Victorian nightgown. Aside from the rhythmic ticking of the old clock on the mantel, there was nothing, not a single sound. He pulled his phone from his pocket, half expecting to find no signal, no reception in this remote part of the country. But to his surprise, 3 network bars glowed brightly on the screen. He typed a message to his girlfriend, telling her about the unnerving quiet of the inn. Then he put the phone down, its glow fading into darkness. As the seconds ticked by, the silence seemed to grow, to press in on him from all sides. Daniel tried to shake off the creeping dread that was starting to envelop him. He was alone in a room, a dusty old room, with a woman in a nightgown, watching him from the depths of time. Alone in a room with a dead woman who had been here 100 years ago. A draft suddenly swept through the room, ruffling the pages of the guest book lying on the table. The candle on the mantelpiece flickered wildly, and the painting above the fireplace seemed to darken, the woman's face in the gloom becoming something grotesque, something inhuman. Fear tightened its icy grip around Daniel's heart. His breath hitched in his throat as a low voice whispered right next to his ear, "Leave. Leave now." He whirled around, his eyes frantically searching the room. There was nothing, no one there. The wind outside was growing louder, the rain more insistent, but inside the room everything was still, silent. Had he imagined it? The voice, the whispering? He told himself he had. There was no one else in the room. He must have been tired, his mind playing tricks on him after a long drive on winding country roads. He tried to laugh it off, telling himself that what he had heard was just the wind whistling through some loose window pane. But deep down a primal fear was coiling in his gut. Slowly he turned back to the chair, trying to relax, trying to dismiss the whispering voice as a figment of his overactive imagination. But it was difficult, very difficult. For every creak of the old house, every sigh of the wind, he heard the voice again, "Leave, leave now." And then he saw it, something dark, indistinct, hovering at the edge of his vision. At first he couldn't quite make it out, couldn't focus on it. It was like trying to grab smoke to pin it down. But slowly, ever so slowly, it began to take shape. It was coming from the mirror. The air grew colder, the candle sputtered, casting grotesque shadows on the wall, and in the mirror he saw it. Another face. It was pale, gaunt, with hollowed cheeks and eyes that were black pits of nothingness. It was the face of a corpse, and it was right beside his. He recoiled, knocking over the candle. It hit the hearth with a clatter, plunging the room into darkness. Gasping, Daniel stumbled back, his eyes straining to pierce the gloom. In the flickering darkness, he saw it again, the face in the mirror. Closer now, its black eyes boring into his, its lips curled in a silent snarl. He could feel its icy breath on his skin, hear the rasping of its voice in his ear. "Leave! You should have left long ago." Terror propelled him forward. He lunged for the door, fumbling for the handle in the pitch-black room. As he stumbled out into the hallway, he could hear the thing moving, shifting, slithering behind him. Its cold fingers scraped against his neck, leaving goosebumps in their wake. He ran blindly, his heart pounding in his chest, his lungs burning in his ribcage, the sound of his own ragged breathing filling his ears. Then he saw it, a faint glow at the end of the hall. Hope surged through him, driving him faster. He burst through the front door and into the night, not stopping until he reached the safety of his car. He slammed the door, fumbled for his keys, and raced away from the inn, away from the whispering woman in the mirror. As dawn broke, He pulled into a gas station, his hands still shaking. He needed coffee, needed to get the nightmare of the night before out of his system. Sitting in the warm booth, sipping the hot coffee, he thought he was finally safe. But then he looked down at his hands. They were covered in scratches, deep scratches, and on one finger he saw a thin line of blood seeping between his skin and his nails. He got up, went to the bathroom, stared at his reflection in the mirror. His face was pale, his eyes dark circles under them. But the worst part was the scratches. They were fresh, deep, and angry. They looked like they had been made by the nails of a dead woman who had been waiting in the mirror for him to come along. He drove home, the whole time glancing nervously over his shoulder, half expecting to see the inn and the road leading to it appear behind him. But it never did. His town came into view, and with it, relief. He was home, safe. He parked the car and got out, stretching, yawning, trying to shake off the lingering dread. It had been a crazy night, a bad dream that thankfully was over. He started walking toward his house, each step taking him further away from the inn, from the whispering woman in the mirror. But then he felt it, the prickling sensation on the back of his neck. He turned, half expecting to see the woman standing there, but she wasn't there. Instead, he saw his reflection in a shop window. He stopped, his breath catching in his throat. Staring back at him was a stranger with a face full of scratches, deep, angry scratches. He touched his face, wincing at the pain that shot through his fingertips. He knew those scratches. They were the same ones he had seen in the mirror that morning. But how? How could he have gotten them if he had been at home all day? He walked on, his mind racing. Was he losing his mind? Had he imagined the whole thing? The inn, the woman, the scratches? Or was there something more, something sinister lurking beneath the surface, something that had followed him home? He reached his house, unlocked the door, and stepped inside. Relief washed over him. He was home, safe. But as he closed the door, he caught his reflection in the hallway mirror. The woman in the mirror was smiling. Her eyes glittered with triumph. And on her face he saw the same scratches, the same ones on his. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. He was trapped, he realized, trapped in a nightmare that wasn't his. The scratching started then, sharp, painful, relentless. He collapsed. The last thing he saw was the woman stepping out of the mirror, her smile wide, her eyes gleaming with unholy light. The next morning, his neighbors found him dead in his hallway, his body a canvas of deep, angry scratches. They called the police, who found nothing unusual except for a few trace amounts of dirt on the doorstep, the same dirt that was later found at the roadside inn. As for the inn, it stood silent and empty, a lone sentinel guarding its secrets close. The locals avoided it, whispering tales of the scratching woman, warning everyone to stay away. But some say that on stormy nights, when the wind howls and the rain lashes against the windows, you can hear her voice, the voice of the dead woman in the mirror. If you listen closely, you might hear her beckoning, calling out to those who pass by, inviting them to come inside and join her in her eternal slumber. Now it's time to make your choice. Would you stay the night in that inn? Comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and follow for more chilling tales. Until next time, sleep tight and don't dream of scratching women.